Okay. So now we are about ready to begin. And we've got quite an open topic for today, which is access without ownership. Inside the structure of duality, of the big split between myself and other people, the urge is to try to control the balance of what is the object and what is the subject. Our dualistic consciousness, that is to say, the consciousness that we operate with most of the time, that tells us that which day of the week it is, which season it is, whether we are hungry or not. This consciousness is almost invisible to us. We're just conscious. It's normal for us to be a subject that is conscious of other things. And this solidification of the field of experience gives us a sense that the world is composed of items or even fragments that can be put into different patterns. That is to say, I can directly feel or taste my own subjectivity. That is to say, I am the site where a lot registers as this is happening to me. But when we stay with how these experiences are, we see that they arise and vanish very quickly. And so, although in terms of direct relating, the objects that I have are only powerfully present in terms of experience, this seeming fixity is a delusion. The actuality is vanishing, but I hold on to the idea that that is something I possess. And it can seem that possession or ownership is quite intimate. This belongs to me. For example, say I own 5 shirts. Because I only have one body, I can only wear one shirt at one time. The shirt comes alive when I put it on. It's more manifestly integrated into my life, and it allows me to express part of myself by wearing that particular shirt. Now, if I take the shirt and I lay it out on the table, I can see what shape it is. I can measure it with a ruler. And I can establish factual knowledge about the shirt. But when I put the shirt on, because I am moving as I talk, or I'm making some tea, or I'm putting my shoes on, the shape of the shirt is altering in its manifestation according to how I participate in the world. Thus, although I'm sure you can all understand the meaning of the sentence, I own 5 shirts, the potential of shirt wearing only comes alive when I wear each of these shirts in turn. That is to say that the conjunction or the co-emergence or the arriving together of my body and this shirt becomes a unique formation for a short period of time. So maybe starting to get a sense of moment by moment, my experience changes formation as I engage with the aspects of my environment. I can access the various objects or things of my world. But in order to reveal the potential of the object. I, the subject, have to get involved with the object. I have a cup of coffee, but for the coffee to be realized, I have to drink it. So if somebody says, James, have you got a coffee? I say yes. But the fact that I am the owner of the cup and in the cup there is a coffee doesn't guarantee I get the coffee. I act on the object in order to release it for the subject. I bite into the apple or I peel the banana, so that my presence in the world is a site where I, in my ordinary sense of self, seem to be acted on by many different things, while simultaneously I am acting on many different things. So the most basic point in the Buddhist teachings is impermanence. The life of our senses is always changing. Smells disperse into the air. Tastes dissolve as the food in our mouth is swallowed. Sensation requires an interaction with something which generates the sensation. So in that way, the five senses are sites of intercourse. The world is revealed to me through my participation, and I am revealed to the world, again, through my participation. Now, it could be that how we reveal ourselves is something that we have rehearsed many times. Like an actress learning her lines. Having repeated them again and again, the flow out of her mouth is something quite authentic. But this remains within the realm of subject onto object. Using the words, the structure of the drama script, the actress brings out an embodied characterization. And we go to the theater to see the actress pretending to be someone she is not. But in ordinary life, unless we're very committed to lying, we find ourselves just saying things, doing things. We have our neuroses, our limiting habit formations, which bring about a repetition compulsion. Repetition is the means by which that which is on the point of vanishing can be offered a kind of pseudo continuity as our idea about what just happened. Oh, we are both the immediacy of our presence, our co-presencing with the ever-shifting field of the environment. And we are also the curator of the museum of our many diverse identities. Because we can all tell stories about our childhood or our work or relationships. And when we're talking about something which had a big importance for us, it tends to become real. It tends to become present in the room because of the investment we are putting into it. And then, of course, we can seem to be talking about the same thing because we're using a name, and the name seems to refer to something definite and knowable. But the vitality of what we take to be known is revealed through the intensity of our belief and participation. So some weeks ago, when President Zelensky of Ukraine went to America and met President Trump in the White House, They're discussing the future of Ukraine. But it became clear that they were not talking about the same Ukraine. Zelensky is a president of a country that is at war, where many of his citizens have been killed. He's living every day with stories of life and death, and how many people have now just died from attack from the sky. But when President Trump was talking about Ukraine, he's talking about real estate, about property, land he might get hold of in order to make more money. And President Trump got very angry, defending his decision not to be emotionally involved in the issue of Ukraine. And he says to Zelensky, who are you? You're just a little man. Don't get so excited about this. You fit in with my plan. So when the word Ukraine was being used by both sides, it is as if they are talking about the same situation. And yet the lived experience for these two parties regarding Ukraine is completely different. For President Zelensky, Ukraine is an end in itself. It's his beloved motherland. Whereas for President Trump, it's a means to an end. It's a method. It doesn't have value in itself. It's just one of the places in the air, across the world where he can get the kind of rare earths that he wants. So hopefully this example gives us the sense of how the flow of words, the flow of ideas, of sensations is unstopped. It just keeps coming. And the how of saying contains so many subtle nuances which change their valency as the story of the place unfolds. That's the living quality of the participative field. But if I am not responding aesthetically to what's there, if I'm doing it in terms of a calculation of profit and loss, then my relationship with the object is entirely pragmatic and not sentimental. So all these presidents who stand and salute the flag of their country and know that their own land is very special, blessed by God, and so on, these abstract identifications are in fact abstract constructions. What is constructed doesn't come into existence, but it becomes a sign or a signifier that we use to generate specific meanings. We have here these two frames of reference. One is the immediacy of the actual, what is arising and arising and arising. And this is completely, ungraspable. It's not like a piece on a chessboard with a fixed value that you can move around and cause it to shift the dynamics on the board. But rather that meaning, because meaning is arising with participation, and we know what it's like to participate in eating an apple. We open our jaw and we bite through the skin and allow the juice to come into our mouth and not dribble down our chin. But you can't eat the concept of an apple. You could mime eating an apple that wasn't there. That might even help to diminish your hunger. But actually, you've been moving around in a mental space of ideas, memories, concepts, hopes, and fears. So why is this important? the field of experience, that is to say, the arising of your life moment by moment, is unpredictable. Even if you have a chronic disability and you are confined to a wheelchair, and you might have had many X-rays and tests and so on that have tried to establish exactly what's happening, the doctor will have a big file with your name on it with lots of information about your situation. But even with this great accumulation of information, you cannot know exactly what sensation will arise in your body in the next 5 seconds. So that our general sense of knowing someone or some place or something is based on an abstraction which does not attend to the fine detail of what is occurring. So our wish in the practice of Dzogchen is to move from the abstraction of conceptualization to the immediacy of co-emergence. So some of you have looked at these issues many, many times. But maybe we just briefly look at the basic structure. The name of our practice is Dzogpa Chembo, the great completion. Could also be the great inclusion. Everything is already finished within this openness of the mind. Now, what we see with the current troubles about trade tariffs, that many modern commodities like mobile phones are moved from one country to another in order to have bits of the constructive process applied. We do a bit here and a bit there because different bits require different skills and experience and different machines. So the completed product is built up bit by bit. But from the point of view of Dzogchen, the space where all of these things which have weight and color, hot or cold or cheap, expensive, and so on, all of these appearances are within the whole. We are used to breaking whole objects in order to get to the parts. So we break open the shell of a coconut, or we cut into the skin of a papaya. Because when we look at the coconut, it's as if it has its own secret life inside its hard shell. And because I can take a hammer and hit the coconut, I am the revealer of the truth of the coconut. I am the agent acting on the coconut, subject onto object. And yet, the coconut is here. If I look at the coconut, it says, eat me. It seems to be calling me into an activity. The availability of the coconut, the attractiveness of the coconut, the fact that I might like the taste of coconut milk, all of this is me being pulled by the objective factors, by my habit formations. I'm being pulled towards the coconut. So could we say that the qualities of the coconut are massaging my arousal so that I go towards the coconut to get to what is tasty inside? If you have a dog, it's necessary to take the dog for a walk. The dog, when you come home from work, you open the door, the dog's looking at you. The dog's saying, let's go. We look at the dog, hey, I just got home. And the dog's tail starts to wag. The dog is saying, I like you. I want to be with you. Let's go out together. And so there you are out on the road, even though you're a bit tired. Because it's not two things, the person and their dog. I have a dog, as if it's something like a banana. The dog has a mind. All minds are the site of the flow of streams of experience. I have an intention that I want to rest after working. The dog has an intention that he wants to get me out of the house before I get too relaxed. So the dog and I are a couple. We are co-emergent. As the dog's tail starts to wag from one side to the other, I'm looking at the dog and my heart is warming to the dog. So this is the movement of the dog's body, the reception of that movement through my senses, the evocation of my response. This is like the curve of a great wave. So in the moment when the dog is looking at me, I'm experiencing the nature of the mood I see in its eyes. I see the tilt of its head, which I take to be a kind of quizzical, what are you up to, James? Come on. The dog is an invitation to me to mobilize new patterns of my experience. So if we take that example and review it through the lens of a definitive duality of subject and object, of self and other, we get one kind of story. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. When I make that statement, it settles the world into its familiar pattern that I am in charge of the dog, I am doing what the dog needs, I am a good person. I look at the dog, it is a separate kind of sentient being, and I decide, given my tiredness, my time, my availability, I decide whether I go for a walk or not. But the dog's eyes, they touch me. The dog shifts my mood, and my shifted mood takes the dog for a walk. We arise together. So this is a fundamental arena for us each to inquire into it with regard to our own life. Because if my life is going from me to the world, if I am acting on the world to make it as much as possible the way I want it to be, then the center of my world is me. And I remain this quasi-autonomous, isolate, this separate entity. But then I get lonely. I want entertainment. I want distraction. I want you to take me out of myself. I need you to help me be me according to my current notion of how I would like to be. So it is our pliability, our plasticity, which allows us to reshape ourselves in order to optimize the possibility of contact with the other, which allows the truth of co-emergence to arise. So egoic consciousness starts with me. What do I want? And non-egoic awareness is present with the whole of how it is. Awareness has no fixed identity. whereas our ego self is stuck with a dynamic ambivalence about the nature of identity. So if my sense of self becomes too stable, and I'm doing the same sort of things every day, I'm very likely to get bored. And if a great deal is happening, so that I'm being pulled this way and that into new patterns of engagement, then I can easily feel overwhelmed and burnt out. So the ego self is like a small boat on a stormy sea. The waves go in one direction, the wind blows in the other direction. And it's very difficult for us to truly stabilize our lives. So if our starting point is I exist, I am myself, and in the moment that I say this, there's a kind of feeling tone of self, of being here-ness, here as me, yet these experiences are vanishing. They're self-arising and self-vanishing. So, who am I? Because the content of this site of my experience is shifting very rapidly. Oh, I am James. So this is a very useful method of self-deception. James is a name. It's a sign establishing identity. So I've been called James all my life. Therefore, James seems to be referring to a definitive content of Jamesness, a knowable James. And yet, the sensations currently constituting James are not the same as the sensations I had an hour ago or even 5 minutes ago. But by insisting that, well, however I am, I'm still James, I'm asserting that there is an unperceived, enduring essence of me. Now, this is very cunning because James can apply to whatever is occurring in the moment, and it can focus on the movement, on the different patternings of James, or it can focus just on the definitive facticity, I am James. Now, this is amazing. So we're riding two horses at the same time. One is a little pony, and the other is a very wild stallion. So on our pony self, we can tell lots of stories as if they were referring to the same person. But in terms of the prancing stallion, we don't know what mood and posture it's going to adopt. And therefore, one has to attend to the actuality of the horse, how it is in this moment, and it will show whether it wants somebody to ride it or not. So we have the ungraspable but ever fresh actuality of lived experience moment by moment. And we have the ever changing but disguised seeming continuity of myself. So that the identity of the self, of in my case, James, is maintained by editing the selection of experiences of the actual. And we see this situation, for example, with the commemoration of the ending of the war in Europe. So America, Russia, France, and England all have their version of who won the war. They all have stories to tell about how it was their sacrifice and their heroism and their skills which brought about the true success. So while the Russians were fighting the Nazis, they were our friends. Then, when the Nazis are defeated, the other aspect of the Russian identity, that is to say it's a communist country, comes to the fore. And so the Russians become the enemy of America and France and Britain. There is no true essence there. Each country, each concept, each idea is a site of interpretation. If there was a fixed essence, we might finally display it and then all agree on the precise value that any phenomena had. But identity is very often taken as something out there. So when I used to go to conferences, you would get a piece of sticky paper and you had to write your name on it and then stick it on your shirt. And then someone peering at my sticker would say, "Oh, you are James." And I would say, "Yes, I am James." Now, this is a shared theater. I am not my name. I am always both more than and less than my name. Because how I am in the moment is unpredictable. So knowledge stabilizes the flow of experience by not attending to the flowing nature of experience. It's difficult for us to stay with the complex interactive flow of the field of experience because there are so many factors operating at the same time. It is too complex for me to make sense of it. So if I simplify whatever is occurring by not attending to many of the factors which are occurring in the field, then I can come to some simple conclusion, which is comforting to my ego consciousness, but is building another veil between me and the actual ground of my being, of my presence. That is to say, I am not a thing, but the language that I have grown up speaking is very attuned to the definition of things. So, in order to function in the world, I have to be willing to take on certain identities which are so vague as to be almost meaningless. Oh, if I say, I am a man, there are many different ideas about what it means to be a man. There are so many possible interpretations that the statement, I am a man, is functionally meaningless. And yet, if I say it, it appears to be meaningful. Because one of the main functions of speech and communication is the continuity of mutual delusion. I will talk to you as if you are a real, separate, autonomous entity. But I'm only willing to do this if you also talk to me as if I am an autonomous, individual, separated entity. That is to say, I'm willing to pretend that you really exist as who you say you are, if you are willing to believe that I exist truly and really as who I say I am. So when we believe in this solidifying story, the different facts that seem to exist about a person that we come to know can be rearranged in new patterns as the story unfolds. You are my construct, which of course is the teaching of the Buddha in the Theravadan structure of the five skandhas. The five skandhas state that what we take to be a sentient being, especially a human being, is not a simple presence, but is a composite, a compounded form arising from the patterning of the five heaps or contributory factors. We see that people have their sense organs, we see them walking and talking. They seem to have an inherent integrity. I am who I am. I am James. But I can't be James. James is just a name. So I will be myself. But what is this self that I am? Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm enthusiastic to go out and find out more about the world. Sometimes I want to hide away from all the horror that seems to be around us. So this self that I am is not a thing. I am a receptive, responsive presence in the field of presencing. I receive the environment and I respond. So my response is not something cooked up just inside me. Rather, it is the co-emergent arising of the field factors showing this particular pattern. So in terms of samsara, this mode of experiencing the world under the power of duality, this structuring depends on not paying attention to all that I receive. Samsara starts with me, what I want. Whereas the integrity of the field or nirvana starts with all together, with an all at oneness. Now, we will spend some time today trying to make this clear, that the field of experience, the field we inhabit, the situation within which new factors are moving all the time, this field is not composed of things. I am a movement within the field of movement. And whatever occurs is integral to, is not separated from this great openness of emptiness. Whereas the view that begins with I, me, myself starts in delusion. I exist. I am not you. Part of my being me is my not being you. We are mutually exclusive field factors. And the fact that my being me is inseparable from my not being you means that most of the time I have to avoid too much intimacy with you, too much alignment with you. Otherwise, I will get all mixed up. There are so many possibilities. They are beyond thought. There are people today who will murder someone. There are people today who will save someone's life. The person who saves someone's life today may kill someone tomorrow, because the person they save today might be in the same army as them, and the person they kill tomorrow is in the opposite army. The movement of the field and the conventional names and signs used to make sense of the field are rarely mutually beneficial. So for our practice, whatever we're doing, maybe you're going to the toilet now, or you're going to make a cup of tea, whatever you're doing, observe how your body is moving with the shapes around you, how you relate to the other factors which are arising will influence the depth and integrity of your participation. This is not a dogma that I'm encouraging you to believe. You have direct experience. You have conceptually mediated experience. This is your life. So directly observe the qualities of these two modes of participation. Okay, so we take a break now for half an hour. Thank you. Okay, so we're running ahead now. So let's look a little. What we did before the break was quite dense. Unfortunately, that's just how our mind is. Now we look a little bit more at impermanence. Oh, this is the idea that nothing that we find in this world endures in its self same way. We have the phases of the moon, the seasons. It seems clear to us that there is the past and also the future. And we live in the present, which is between the past and the future. But if I say something like, I will go to my local shops this evening, I'm talking about a mental event, because I've no idea whether I can actually bring this into embodied being or not. And if I say I grew up in Scotland, that Scotland has vanished. Of course, there is something, many different places and lochs and so on that are called Scotland, but that's someone else's Scotland. My Scotland are my echo memories and my concepts of interpretation. And that Scotland is only to be found in my mind. This is not to say that, oh, everything is just your mind and there are no, there's nothing in the world that constitutes something other than self. What it's pointing to is the fact that I can only access my experience of what occurs. And my experience includes me. That is to say, I experience myself experiencing this situation. So, time is flowing. If we believe that there is this continuous movement, future into present into past, that there are discrete events in time. For example, in the morning, first there is 9 o'clock, then there is 10 o'clock, then there is 11 o'clock. But what do we mean by 9 o'clock? This is a conventional system. Using these terms, it is as if I am talking about something real. But what is the actual content of 9 o'clock? It depends. 9 o'clock doesn't point to anything definite. It points to an arena of possibility. So you might think, oh, in the summertime, I will go to Greece. And you might have a favorite island. But when you get there, they're in the middle of a big forest fire. It's my favorite island, but it's on fire. So because it's on fire, it's not my favorite island. But it is my favorite island. I just wish it wasn't burning. The reason I'm stating this is so that we can try to see how the ego's desire for stable content makes it blind to the actual. I believe this island is my favorite island as long as it conforms to my idea of how the island is. So, are there a series of moments, or is there a continuous movement which I can then seem to break up by applying the idea of different moments? If I am counting the time, then it appears that time is something there that I am responding to. So if I look at my watch just now, I see the second hand going around quite rapidly. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can count the seconds. I can count the seconds. But the second only comes into existence through my counting. Most of the time, we're not thinking about time in terms of seconds. So our life is flowing along and flowing along and flowing along. And yet we seem to be able to swim up and down this flow of time and locate ourselves in hopes of the future and doubts about the past. That is to say, we talk concepts into existence. We believe concepts into existence. So now we've just gone past noon. The morning is gone. Where has it gone? Does time go somewhere? Does the future come from somewhere? These may sound like crazy questions, but they are an invitation to us to simply observe how we use language and how we can seemingly establish a succession of real entities when in fact no entity has come into existence. The flow of actual experience is ungraspable. If I say, I'll see you in 5 minutes, how long that is will depend on whether you're having to wait around on a cold night outside or whether you're sitting comfortably in your room by the fire. Because it's not that 5 minutes is a definite fixed quantity of time, and therefore all 5 minutes are the same. But if I'm standing outside your front door waiting for you to return and it's raining and I'm getting very wet, then this is a long 5 minutes. The lived 5 minutes has a different quality because 5 minutes as lived experience is not pointing to some fixed objective quantity, but rather it's pointing to the duration of a particular kind of experience. 5 minutes standing in the rain. it's very difficult just to be relaxed and open about that. Because a thought arises, I prefer to be dry. Where have you gone? I hope you come soon. So these thoughts are creating, comparing and contrasting and judging, whereby I come to a conclusion that this is a very long 5 minutes. Oh, we live in a world increasingly organized around science and the regular production of commodities for the market. So we're used to thinking that there are real things out there, but it will depend what sense you have of the event will depend on you. So if I invite you to a restaurant and we're sitting looking at the menu and it looks good, but you suddenly get a phone call saying someone in your family is not very well, you become a bit tense and anxious. Your mental space, your experiential space is filled with thoughts about their health and should you go to the hospital. And so the fact that, if you like, objectively or by common agreement, this is a very good restaurant, has less and less interest for you because you're thinking, oh, I need to go. Now, the efficiency of the modern commodity production depends on standardized issue. So that if you buy a packet of coffee, you know it's got 250 grams in it. You got a definite weight, a definite quantity of coffee, but you might not like that flavor of coffee. So your subjective experience and the objective fact of this packet of coffee being available at this particular price, there may not be an easy conjunction between these two aspects of the field. So in a Tibetan monastery where there were monks or nuns, there is a very clear timetable in which people meet to do the practice or to help in the kitchen or various tasks. And conformity and alignment with the structure of the event becomes very important. Whereas for a yogi living in a cave, there's no bell ringing. Should you get up early in the morning or not? I don't feel like getting up today, but I promised I would do the practice. But I don't feel like doing the practice. So should I do the practice while not feeling like doing the practice? And if I do that, what am I actually doing? I'm just kind of playing games. I'm going through the motions. But these are important rules to conform to, and therefore better to follow the rules in an artificial manner. Then we are in the house of the Father. Follow the rules. If you follow the rules, you'll be okay. But I don't feel like doing it. But what's the middle way? Do it although I don't want to do it, or not doing it and then maybe feeling a bit guilty and bad. What is my meditation? To stay present with whatever is happening in the field. So I'm sitting, I'm tired, my body's collapsing. I try to sit up straight, but I'm collapsing. Okay, the meditation instruction in Dzogchen is always stay present with whatever is happening. Tiredness is happening. Whether it should be occurring or should not be occurring is irrelevant because tiredness is occurring. If I stay present with the tiredness, what do I see? I become dull and heavy. And the subject cuts off from object. And we experience falling asleep into a kind of dull me being here and then vanished. Well, that's not meditation. Or is it? Perhaps if I stay present as far as I can with this heavy sinking feeling, and I don't interfere with it and don't try to change it, oh, I notice that the experience is changing. And the one who is aware of the changing nature of experience is not dualistic consciousness. I'm simply present. I'm not present as me with a whole memory bank of events which confirm the trajectory of my life. I'm just here. And my experience is here and gone, here and gone. And some of the experience looks subject side and some of it looks object side. So there is a feeling of heaviness in the body. My body is heavy. And it changes. My mind is dull and it changes. This is the co-emergence of subject and object as a unified wave within the vast ocean of non-dual phenomena. So the basic orientation is don't plan too much, don't think, don't formulate a very tight notion of what you're going to do, but simply relax yourself into being present and see. Don't go looking for something, because that has you in the position of the hunter. I need to get something. So how is it? Let's see. So what we want to aim for is a process description, a description which doesn't come to a conclusion. For example, if you go to the cinema, you see scene after scene after scene flashing in front of you. These scenes have many different flavors to them. Some are happy, some are frightening, and so on. Then after you say to the person you're at the cinema with, oh, that was a really good film. But this conclusion, this patting it on the head and saying good film, this adds nothing of value. This is a way of disguising to yourself the rich, ungraspable immediacy of the film as scene after scene after scene. So in the same way, when we do our Dzogchen practice, we don't want to be evaluating whether we're making any progress or not, because that will require us to objectify what is occurring. Today's meditation was better than yesterday's meditation. Oh, how do you know that? Because my knees weren't so sore and I didn't feel so tired. But that tells us nothing about the quality of the meditation, whether you were present or not. What it identifies as certain factors that can feed into my story about my meditation. Okay, so we do the Guru Yoga of the White Ah. This is a very simple but powerful practice. Ah is the symbol and the presence of emptiness, of ungraspability. When we make the sound of ah, it has no strong cognitive content. In fact, the sounding of ah is the dissolving of the constructive patterning, whereby we develop our stories about how our life is or what we're going to do. We make the sound of ah 3 times. And with each of these, we're relaxing and releasing our the tension that holds the vibration of the ego self apart from the field. We imagine in front of us a small white letter R. We're just using this as a kind of temporary hook to hang our attention on. So we gather ourselves into the practice, and having gathered into it by making this sound of ah 3 times, we then release ourselves into simple openness. So when we finish making the third ah, we allow the visualized ah to dissolve, and then there is nothing to hold on to. If some sensation arises while you're sitting in this way, it's this kind of sensation that you often take to be a confirmation that you exist. This is the feeling of my neck, of my head, of my back. We have the one thing to clearly see at this point is I am telling my experience what it is. I notice tension in my neck. This is a sign that I'm not relaxed. Essentially, I'm talking to myself. I'm confirming the patterning of my ego harmonious or ego syntonic experience. If I simply stay with how occurrence is occurring, we see every arising moment is a vanishing moment. And this is the same whether it seems outside the body or inside the body. The immediacy of the appearance of the actual has no pre-announcement. There is appearance, and it's gone. What is required at this point is to have a turn away from cognitive appropriation and towards aesthetic appreciation. Because if we stay with the former habit formation, then we establish conclusions about what has happened. That is to say, the object of my interest is my own conceptualization of what is occurring. And we have to remember that thinking is linking. As we think, one thought leads to another, they join together and make these patterns of meaning. But what I'm experiencing is myself, my thoughts. So we don't want to do this. Don't get rid of what is occurring. Don't merge into it. Don't try to find some truth that's hidden inside the patterning of the conceptualized experience, but simply stay present with how it is. Now, it's difficult to grasp how it is, because the immediacy of how it is actually ungraspable. But our ego self wants to grasp something, to apprehend it, to build on it. So I can stay with the aesthetic experience, the revelation through the senses of the immediacy of this moment without getting hold of anything. And then we have the experience of getting what can't be got. That is to say, if there was a firework display And you see these big rockets go up in the sky and they explode, and many different balls of different colored light arise. There is a kind of wonder. The amazing sound and the vastness of the radiant colors takes you out of yourself. You give yourself to the fireworks and they give you back to yourself. They refresh you by showing you that you can be present without thinking about being present. If somebody is telling you a joke and you get the joke, you don't get anything. Because when you get a joke, you laugh and you let go of the tension of trying to work out what's going on. So this is the mood of the meditation. Non-appropriation, non-construction, just being present as each wave or each moment or each luminosity is. And this is very paradoxical. You get more if you get less. When you get less, you don't really know what's going on, but you're with it. To try to describe a big firework display would be silly. You can't catch the amazing quality of the fireworks. But the fact that you can't define the experience or use a definition of the experience to somehow evoke it in its true vitality, this doesn't mean that the ungraspable experience is somehow nothing at all. Okay, so we do this Guru Yoga of the White R together. First, we have to align ourselves to get the three R's, we're all reciting together. You don't want to be making the sound of R, but it's more like it's the sound of release. As if you've been carrying a heavy weight and you put it down and you go, ah. You don't have to make that sound. It just flows out of you as you let go of the burden you've been carrying. That is to say, if you're present, everything will continue just as it does. But you'll have less and less sense of the necessity of your ego agency. Okay, so we're sitting comfortably, our senses are open, our gaze is in the space in front of us, not looking at the distant wall. And we make the sound of ah. Okay. So when we're simply open, we are present in immediacy. Through your eyes, you receive light of indicating different shapes, colors, and so on. This is what you see. I see light. I don't see books. I don't see bookshelves. I don't see a standard lamp. The books and the shelves for the books, these are interpretations, concepts, identifications. Does the book need my naming of it to complete it in some way? It is as it is. But what is it? As soon as we're thinking, what is it? We're starting, there is a lack here. We haven't established what it is. the presence of this seeming object is very thin. It's malnourished. It needs some food to fatten it up. And this is what our concepts do. They thicken the sense, oh, this is a book. Oh, I always wanted to read that book. I don't know why I haven't read it. I'm pulling the book into my world. But how surprising that there is a book. Pages and pages, words and words. Potential. Because the book can be read in many different ways. The potential of the book is both evoked by my attention and formulated by my attention. That is to say, my concepts turn the book into a thing, but what I actually encounter is, if I'm just focusing on my eyes, is shape and color. And the particular angle of the book situated on a pile of books, there's no particular word to describe that shape. It is precisely itself. It is true to itself. It's just this. It's not like anything else. It's just this. This is vital for practice. Because if I stay with the immediate freshness of the experience, I have the full receptivity to whatever is occurring, but I don't get anything substantial. When things are substantial, they have a gravitational pull, they have an insistence on their existence. We can't tell the story of how it is, because that's revealed through participation. It's not a fixed thing apart from the subject. But if we just tilt the question slightly to what is it, then it seems much easier to nail down what this is. So the whatness of phenomena disguises the actuality of the howness of phenomena. There is no real or true whatness. The inherent impermanence and flow and ungraspability of each moment of appearance is just as it is. It doesn't require us to do anything with it. Now, this is a little shocking because we believe I bring value. My thoughts, my feelings, my memories about what is in the world are important, at least for me. That is to say, things become real through me. So this is good news for the ego. Except there is no truly self-existing ego and no truly self-existing objective entities. So the whatness of appearances is a misinterpretation that disguises the ever-open ground of whatever is occurring. So when we read in the text that whatever occurs is self-perfect, perfect here doesn't mean at one polarity of the binary of perfect and imperfect. Perfect in this Dzogchen context means just this. It is as it is, and it's vanishing. There's nothing to do with it. So when you see the sunrise or the sunset, or you see big clouds forming in the sky, these are all ungraspable moments. There is experience, but not experience belonging to someone, and not experience of something, but if you like, pure experience or immediate experience or just this. Oh, we are all storytellers. Human beings tell stories all the time. What I've been suggesting is that although through our storytelling we may feel we are getting closer to the heart of the matter, actually the appearance has no heart except from emptiness. It has no substantial essence. There is nothing to grasp. There is, there is nothing for me to do. The perfect Dharma Dhatu, the mandala of all the Buddhas, doesn't need me to improve it. So when I have an opinion about something and can see how to improve it, this is an action to convince my ego that it has meaning and value. The world needs me. No, actually, James, your ego self is a mistake. You've misunderstood the existential basis of your manifestation. The fact that you manifest, which we all do with our bodies and speech and mind, this manifestation doesn't prove that we exist. Existence as something fixed is an impediment to the ever-fresh display of the Dharmakaya. The world is not designed according to my template. So when I apply my template for evaluation, I say this is good, this is bad. This tells me about my prejudice. It doesn't tell me about the quality of the actual. We have a break for an hour, and in that time you can very gently, in a friendly way, observe how you are interacting all the time with aspects of the world. And remember, we release out with the breath, in order to make more space for receptivity. The less ideas, beliefs, neurosis, and so on that I'm hanging on to, the more available I am for fresh experience moment by moment. Okay, so we have a break for an hour now, and then we'll continue in the afternoon. Have a good break. Bye. So a real thank you to our translators and to Pedro for organizing. Although my name goes on a lot of things, nothing I do would be possible without the work of other people. So the website and all that we do on it is really a very big group effort, and I'm very glad of it. Collaboration allows us to have a sense of the pulsation of our expansion and contraction as we encounter different circumstances. We see that conflict and rivalry and taking ourselves to be superior is becoming more powerful in the world. We see that so many political leaders feel entitled to take whatever they want and to lie and cheat. But that's a dead end, that kind of approach to life. Because the more we wrap ourselves into a particular identity and then want to maintain that identity as a sign of our superiority, the more we are alienated from everything around us. So if we take again Dzogchen Chempo, the great completion, everything is complete within it. It's already complete. So it's not constituted out of separate entities or fragments which have to be brought together. So much of the general Buddhist teaching is similar to that of other religions, that we have to repair the terrible damage which arises from selfishness. But selfishness is a secondary positioning. I am myself. The first moment or the first tension arises with the sense of I am as something apart from the actual ground. Everything arises as like the sky, like an open vastness within which many, many different possibilities occur. Just as whether the waves are big or small, all the waves that are in the sea are the sea. They have not left the sea. Just as our thoughts don't leave our mind, and reflections don't come out of the mirror. The reflection is the quality of the mirror. The reflection is not exactly the same as the mirror, but nor is it different. The reflection in the mirror are not just one thing, nor are they different things. The non-dual means not two, not one, but both and. So we have both the mirror and the reflection, both the sky and the clouds, both the openness of our awareness and the presence of many different thoughts and memories and constructs. But none of the words which come into the world can establish a true separate existence for any appearance. Because the patterns which arise, if they are left just as themselves, they are beyond conceptualization, beyond expression. If we see that, then we can see that our participation in the world, using language, in touch with our feelings and our memories, this free flow doesn't establish anything. So when we look in the traditional way at the development of the stages of unawareness of this all-inclusive open ground, the first emergence is the sense of here, or here I am. And this assertion is the kind of a subtle structural basis for duality. Oh, this starts to form the frame of our experience on the basis of this is not that. This, something happens, there's a kind of tension. Oh, here I am. What? Who? And the vibration of that, or the anxious tension of that, is a kind of displacement. So if you were walking on the street and you slipped on a banana, you go, oh, something happens. And somebody says to you, oh, what happened there? I slipped on the banana skin and almost fell over. So there's me, the ordinary environment, this unusual bit of the environment, the banana skin, and that, when these three come together, there is the inherent instability of manifestation is displayed. Because as soon as we make a definitive statement or proposition, arising with it, even if not consciously announced, is a whole list of excluded others. I and not I. Because that happened to me. I slipped. Now, slipping is not something we usually consciously do. It's a kind of passive experience. You fall into the slip. You find yourself descending as your body slides on this shiny bit of the road. I stand in relation to what happened. So in this moment, I am located in the present. And in worrying or wondering about what just happened, I'm relating to the past as if it was something truly different from the present. And the more I try to make sense of what is happening, the more I apply concepts. I might say, oh, I felt dizzy. Or I've been a bit sick, so I feel weak. That is to say, what I say becomes an explanation, a linking together of different concepts to give a definitive reading of what occurred. But actually, it is my interpretation that makes what happened happened. Something occurs. What was it? That depends on what language you speak about it in, what age you are, what vocabulary you have, whether you're being accused of doing something bad or not. There are different ways to tell the story. Now, if we really consider this, it might indicate to us, well, maybe these are all just storylines. None of them are true. Life happens. It's okay. And then you relaxed. And where are you when you're relaxed? You're in the here and now. The all at once, the completion of it's just this. But if I start to think about my experience, it is as if it is something definite, but I'm not quite sure how to define it. Because there's always something else that could be said. There is no end to description. So the description is when I, James, I, the person, the subject, take a concept and use it to explain the nature of the experience. And we each do this. We mobilize the patterns of our potential, of our previous experience, our hopes and fears. We bring together these constitutive factors and generate a particular reading at the moment. So some of you are familiar with the idea of the two truths. This is not a Dzogchen approach, but it's a general Mahayana Buddhist approach. The two truths are relative truth or ordinary truth and absolute truth. Ordinary truth is a fiction. It's what we make up. It's more like an opinion. So with climate change, with the European politics, with the sale of arms to murderous regimes, there are many things we can think about. So we have thinking about something, and we have free association or just thinking, throwing ideas out, seeing what happens. Now, when we have some accident or difficulty or trauma, we're looking for a clarity. What happened? What shall I do? What I should do depends on how I interpret the circumstances. And so the more I go into the description of what I did or other people did, I am consolidating my version of the events. Something occurs and then it's gone. There was occurring. We can't even really say an occurrence, because then we've sort of squeezed it into a particular shape. This occurred, this happened, I know what it is. But in the flow of experience, there's this and this and this and this and this, and they're all valid. They are all the display of the potential of the ground. That is, they come from the ground. The ground is empty. It has no diverse entities inside it. So it's got no pieces, like pieces of Lego that you put together to make a car or a train. Events, followed by events, followed by events. What they are, whatever you tell them they are, which is another way of saying they have no inherent existence. The situational existence that they seem to have is generated by the way in which this event is related to other events. It is a composite, a compounding, a bringing together of different entities. Now, in Dzogchen, we talk about co-emergence. That is to say, what appears to be subject and object arise together inside the unborn ground. They appear together, but as unborn, ungraspable non-entities. So this is difficult because it indicates appearances are not the appearance of some other essence somewhere else hidden deep inside the object. So we need to be careful with the conclusions that the ego wants to put on top of emergent situations. Because words are often arising from very precise contexts, but these circumstances don't endure. So you meet someone and you spend an hour with them. Towards the end, you say, "Oh, I really like you." That's expressing a feeling tone. I like you. And when it's left in that simple form, it is like an eternal truth. I really like you, and then in parentheses, in brackets, and I always will, which is a lie, because we don't know how we will be in the future. For sure, I am going to change my moods, my feelings, and so on. And you're going to change as well. So who are you? I have my idea of you, and you have your idea of you. But these two ideas of who you are different. Both are ideas about the possibility of there being someone who could be discovered. And yet someone else arriving and talking with us would come to different opinions. Whatever I say about you is the truth of my moments of experience of you. But the moments are turning and changing. You are not stable. What we call you is you in an interactive field. Although our ego self claims to be independent and autonomous, every aspect of it is arising as the display of the ungraspable. So if I say I was born in Scotland, where will we find the truth of Scotland? My Scotland, the Scotland of my youth, is gone. So I'm not from the Scotland you might know. I'm from my Scotland. But because different memories arise, evoked by different events. Even my notion of Scotland is not reliable or static. All these ideas arise and pass. This is the vitality of the engagement or the participation, but nothing is established. So in absolute truth or infinite truth, everything is empty. That is to say, empty of inherent existence. Ideas create their own truth. When you go to the cinema, you see a complex truth which has been generated by the activity of hundreds of different people. It says at the beginning, produced by, directed by, written by, and so on. So it's clearly saying this is not an eternal truth. In the scene by scene, the colors and music and the movement of the stars and so on alter. What I take it to be is my interpretation. My interpretation means that this thing that I think I experience, this thing cannot be separated from my mind because I express my opinion about it. So I might say I don't like the foreign policy of the current American government. This doesn't change anything. Nobody very much is interested in my opinion, but it constitutes my sense of self. Whatever I say about the object functions as a confirmation of the truth of my own existence. Nothing to grasp. So on a relative level, we are all engaged in different kinds of storytelling. The songs that the birds in my street sing have been changing over the last month. They seem to be singing in order to attract mates. And now they're singing to show the world that they can defend their nest because the babies are coming. So these birds are caught up in a sense of what is important and what isn't important, just as we are. So once it appears that I exist, I am real, I am different from you, then it appears that I will get closer to you by thinking about you. I will find you by covering you in my thoughts about you. That's rather crazy. But it feels true. My thoughts tell the truth. We know that for many human beings it's very difficult to apologize, to say that we've made a mistake and then try to make some reparation. We don't want to be named as somebody who does bad things. So I don't mind people knowing that I do good things, but I don't want them to know I do bad things. And I am the doer of the deed. Therefore, I must be responsible. But since I can act without very much conscious attention to detail, I can say things and do things on the basis of automatic pilot, of patterns I've already enacted many times before. So I say things without knowing why I say them. Life would be very difficult if you had a thought and then it was clear inside you and then you reviewed it and then you became 100% convinced of the idea and then it came out of your mouth. That would be a very slow process. We just speak. So where do our words come from? If we start from the belief that I am the speaker of my words, I am the one who stands in my own shoes and walks about in them. I am the doer. This is irreducible. This is the starting point. So this is the wrapping. This is the shroud, if you like, which arises from the first level of ignorance, where I'm lost and I don't know why. So when there's this moment of confusion, it's arising as a transient moment in the flow of experience. And then it's gone. But it appeared to be something. And that something was done by me. And that installs me as the agent. So then the preservation of my own identity depends on trying to work out what you are up to. As I was saying before, I have to think about what I think you're doing in order to know how to respond. So, for example, you might have two very experienced dancers. They are used to dancing together. They have a felt sense of each other. And so, although it's from one point of view two bodies, these two bodies are moving together, following the line of linked formation. And when that's the case, then the dance is dancing the dancers. It's not about an individual agency, it's about staying in the dance and allowing the dance to express itself through you. So the absolute truth is nothing has been born. Nothing has come into true existence. All these forms are transient, dependent existences. That is to say, the whole field of experience is arising together, and this arising togetherness is what generates the diversity of the patterns. Nothing to grasp. If we try to grasp that which we can't grasp, we thicken the air around us. Maybe you have a box of tools and you're looking for a particular screwdriver. And you're digging into trying to get to the bottom because there's so much stuff in this box. I can't see the tool I need because of all these tools I don't need. And this is the same when we become worried or anxious. We have many different thoughts which arise, most of them not very productive. They're simply gestures out, gestures in the flow. So, when everything is flowing in this way, nothing is established as something, and yet we can't deny that there is experience. So, experience is the experience of phenomena. And these experiences are not the experience of something. Their somethingness is the very fact of their appearance. The thought arises, the pattern shifts, the thought vanishes, the pattern shifts, on and on and on. The ground is open. Everything arises from this open, empty ground. It's neither existent nor non-existent. Because there is no existence available, there is nothing to take hold of. But because there is not just non-existence or nothing at all, there are shapes, that is to say, the shapes of all sentient beings, and we need to respond to them because that is our kindness or compassion. Generally speaking, we think too much. We think in order to make sense of what is going on. But the truth is, nothing is going on. Nothingness is going on. When you look in a mirror, you never see the mirror. There is no mirrorness inside the mirror. The mirror shows its mirrorness by showing the reflection of things which are not in the mirror. Because the reflection can change, we can definitely say the mirror is not defined by the pattern, the current pattern of its display. So when you have thoughts and feelings, maybe difficult thoughts and feelings, maybe you don't like yourself, maybe you think you've messed up your life, you've taken the wrong career, you married the wrong person, and you feel battered by all these thoughts. If you can relax and you are available but not available to jump in, then by not responding, by not collaborating in the game of construction, I see none of my thoughts construct real entities. My thoughts construct the delusion of there being real separate entities. So I have a lot of mental experience which has been enslaved towards the task of maintaining the delusion that I have true existence. But even as I am thinking myself into existence, the thoughts by which I seem to generate this true existence are instantly vanishing. So we have appearance, which is empty, and we have appearance which is believed to be real and separate and autonomous. If we sit quietly with whatever is occurring, then, and we're not busy or anxiously defending a particular interpretation of ourselves, then we see that I'm not a construct. Because these thoughts are like waves coming in the ocean. They arise and decline. They appear and disappear. So each thought is insubstantial. So if you take 100 units of insubstantiality and you pile them up on top of each other, you won't arrive at something substantial. Because insubstantial plus insubstantial equals insubstantial. That's why the texts say again and again, life is like a dream. It's like a mirage. You have a strong sense. I see water shimmering on the hot summer road. It seems real, but it's not. I can be seduced into believing that the unreal is real. Because the belief in the reality of the appearance is a belief. It's not the product of analysis. It's a leap into the dark, a leap into faith. So Dzogchen teaching says the whole is all together, all at once. And because it's whole, it's not fragmented, and secondarily, it's all within the openness. The reason we have so many experiences is that we are creatures of experience, not of thingness. I am not a thing. You are not a thing. The function of tantric practice is to allow the light, the direct flow of energy of the deity to dissolve the false construct of your own enduring, stable existence. So in these longer practices, we visualize ourselves as one particular deity, then that deity dissolves, then we become another deity, on and on. So this is pointing to the same thing we've just been looking at today. I am not a fixed, reliable, predictable thing. I am a responsive potentiality. And this potential arises in relation to factors in the field. If I look very sad and cry, it doesn't mean that I'm always unhappy. And if you see me laughing, it doesn't mean that I'm always happy. These patterns of my manifesting depend on circumstances. But no matter how intense the experience, experience doesn't transform into fixed identity. Identity is part of the theater of the self. In the course of our lives, we have manifested in many different ways. Each of these patterns could be completely authentic. So that's why it says the yogi eats when they're hungry and sleeps when they're tired. They follow the logic of what is arising. They're not pretending to be sad, they're just sad. But the fact that they're sad today doesn't tell you anything enduring or eternal about the person. We are not things. We are ungraspable. We are indefinable. And because of this, because the show is not over, we are part of the process of revelation. And this is the quality of the Nirmanakaya, which manifests into the world for the sake of others. I am available for them. I am like a restaurant which simply advertises food. So somebody comes to the restaurant and say, I'd like some food. So, oh, I don't have anything ready. What would you like? When I get the sense of what they would like, then I can make what they like. And the more I take myself out of the picture, the more I can truly cook for them. Seeing the emptiness of myself, I am available as a potential. So if you say, oh, I want something cooked in the Turkish style, okay, why not? I'm not committed to only doing English cooking. We're cooking for the tongue of the other. So the key factor is their tongue, what they would like. And this has nothing to do with what I like to cook or what I like to eat or what I have almost ready in the fridge. This means I have to trust that I am non-dual with the field. I am here, and what is here is part of my expressive world. So if I'm coming towards you, I'm coming towards you with the possibilities of what is here. If the presentation or the cooking is authentic, that's enough. Authentic means it belongs in that place. Here you are, present in the here and now, in what's called the Dharma Dhatu, the space of all phenomena. Everything is here. You are here. How will it go? Let's see. We can't know. We make ourselves available with the availability of the other. So the enemies of this are the belief you've got the truth, and I know the best way to do this. Because these positions solidify the situation. My mind is always changing. Therefore, why should I not change my mind? So this is our gift into the field of gifting. We participate with all the participants. We're not trying to get to somewhere else. We're simply here, open, with the coming and going of experience. Okay, so we take a break now for half an hour, and then we have the final session. Good. Okay, are we ready now? Okay, let's start with the Guru Yoga of the White Ah. Ah. Okay. So there is the idea that the beginning of samsara is a moment of separation. Nothing is really separated, but this seeming separation, the delusion of separation, is the birth of entities. So all separate entities are born from the delusion that separation is possible. So we have two things here. We've got sameness and difference. So if you have two glasses of water and you pour one into the other, there's no trace. Water goes into water. The size and shape of the glasses was giving us the sense of a separation to these two bodies of water. But there was no actual or essential separation, and so they poured together as the same. So this is a central point in Dzogchen, that the seeming difference that seems to be established by differential appearance is a delusion. Now, inclusion is the death of the entity. Everything's on the inside. So if we look at this in a simple way, on the screen of the computer, we see the different shapes of people's faces. And it's fairly obvious that they look different because they are different. A is not B and B is not C, and so on. But this differentiation has no substance behind it. So earlier we looked again at the mirror. The mirror shows many different reflections. We can see these reflections are different from each other. One is mainly red and the other is mainly blue. But when you look into the nature of the mirror, there is no substance there. There is no separate ground or basis for these different colors or different shapes. So difference of appearance doesn't indicate difference of essence. The essence of all appearance is emptiness. So this is said in the text again and again in different ways. So in the heart, we look at the Heart Sutra because it shows that whatever you seem to identify as having its own discrete, separate rules and regulations that maintain it as something different, actually all these different forms are empty of defining essence. That's why it's very helpful to keep reading the Heart Sutra and then maybe going into the garden or into a park and looking at the different kinds of grass, the different kinds of flowers. And you see a difference, but you see that these are all the ripenings or the blossoming of the potential of the earth. So suffering begins with our sense of being a separate entity. So when we see babies born and then becoming gradually infants and developing their capacity, on you go. They each appear to be like a separate person. But the life of each of these persons is their breath. If they stop breathing, they die. And the breath is not something you can catch or hold. Life is movement. And movement brings things closer together or further apart. So when we first come into Dharma, we're thinking, I am a separate person. I am a thing, a human being, and you are a human being. I am not you, you are not me. That's the clarity of our separate seeming identity. Then when we come in to study Dharma, we focus on connecting the different kinds of sentient beings into different groupings. For example, the 6 realms of samsara. So we have in the God realm, we have the sensuous gods, we have the form gods, we have the formless gods. So in that way we see, we have developed so many concepts, so many categories that we can organize the patterning of what seem to be different separate people. We can organize these patterns with more or less conjunction, where they meet more or don't meet more. And this is developed when we take refuge. We say things like, from this day on, I and all sentient beings take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We're bringing all the different kinds of sentient beings into this basic group that they are sentient. So in the Tibetan language, this is called Sem-chen. Chen means to have, and Sem means a mind. So it's all mind havers. The common features among all of us is that we have a mind. And this is our basis for awakening or getting enlightened. Whether your body is very healthy or quite disabled, whether your mood is generally happy and you enjoy life, or whether your mood is a bit sad and anxious and depressed, this diversity of appearance doesn't affect the basic fact that our presence is locked onto being minded, that the mind shows diversity and the mind shows emptiness. So You may have had many different Dharma teachings in your life or gained different practices. If you have this, then what you can do is to look at the practices that you have, look at the text, and see the ways in which they are showing the already existing connectivity between all beings. So, for example, in the Mahayana tradition, we say all beings have been our mother in a previous life. We are all the same in our connectivity with all other beings because in the great wheel of time, in every life we have had a mother, our mothers have taken care of us, and each and every being has indeed been our own mother. So what this is highlighting is connectivity is basic because connectivity is intrinsic. It is already woven into the very texture of the world, of experience. And so when we go out into the world and we see what we take to be different objects, when we see the qualities of these objects, it's very tempting to put them into some hierarchy. For example, if you go to the market and you buy 4 different kinds of apple, one apple is soft and sweet, another is hard and sweet, another is soft and sour, and another is hard and sour. So I like sweet apples and hard apples. So I organize the value of these apples according to my tongue. And I take the qualities that I identify as being indicative of the true value of these apples. In that way, I'm using a conceptual method to bring things together and to create families of meaning. So in the next move, in Tantra, for example, we have the diversification of how sentient beings are as arising from the 5 poisons. The first of the 5 poisons is mental dullness or a kind of uninsightful assumption. So this gives me the sense of the qualities of the appearance show its isolation, its separation. And this mental dullness arises from not seeing the pure ground. If I see the pure ground, then I see that all of the different thoughts and feelings and appearances are not other than the pure ground. So in the tantric system, we say it's like a mandala. So the shape of the mandala with the 4 directions and the center offer an organizing situation in which items can be placed according to similarity and difference. The purification of mental dullness is the original knowing or the pure wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu. That is to say, all the entities that my dull dualistic mind identifies as being separate and with their own inherent existence are in fact simply the rich display of the potential of the mandala. So if we do the practice like the Padma Sambhava practice or the Urgyen Menlo practice, we see a very detailed form which is manifesting in front of us, Padma Sambhava. So he's called Padma Sambhava because he arises from the lotus, and the lotus is the symbol of ignorance. So generally, if we come into the practice of Tantra, we start with devotion. We say, Padma Sambhava, think of me. Hold me in mind. Remember me. I may forget you, but please don't forget me. So in this way, we are trying to weave a bond of devotion whereby we don't just slip into forgetfulness. You are special. You are fully enlightened. We're in samsara. We're all lost. Please help us. So at that point, sometimes in the practice, we imagine rays of light come down from Padmasambhava into us and then flow out again and down to all the beings in the lower realm. And we do this again to weave and weave little strands of connectivity. The light of the Buddha comes into me and then to all beings, and then sometimes all beings back to me and up to the Buddha. And we do this practice again and again until we have more and more sense. Oh, although we show different appearances, some deities have one head, some have 12 heads, 11 heads. That's not the key thing. The key thing is that they are all forms of emptiness. They are the radiance of Padmasambhava. So when we do the practice, the short Rigzen practice, we recite these verses, which were originally spoken by Padmasambhava. Everything, all forms that arise are the form of Padmasambhava's body. All sounds are the sound of Padmasambhava's voice. All thoughts are the appearance of Padmasambhava's mind. So it's not either or. It's not that you're either a human being wandering in samsara or you're a Buddha in a pure Buddha realm, but rather all who have mind, because they have mind, and that mind is empty of self-substance, so it is actually original knowing or original wisdom, then we see, oh, everything is the form of Padmasambhava. The person who delivers our letters, the people working in the hospital or in the post office, people who might say, I am a nurse. I know a few things about myself. I am a woman. I am a nurse. I am whatever, Irish. So as the person defines themselves according to the characteristics which they have been encouraged to privilege to make something of when they were children, they define themselves in this way. But of course, to be a nurse is to do nursing. It's an activity. You take blood samples, you give injections. So you're doing nursing. You are Padmasambhava doing nursing. Because Padmasambhava shows many, many different forms. But if you insist, no, I am a nurse. I grew up in Ireland. I am a woman. This is who I am. I know myself. Then the power of this ego-centered definition makes recognition that truly you are a form of Padmasambhava. It makes it very difficult to recognize this. So the central point here is not to get trapped in an either or. So once you have the separation from the ground, and the experience that sometimes you feel more like the subject, sometimes more like the object, then by looking at the qualities of how people manifest, it is as if you can establish their separate existence. But all these forms of body, of occupation, of family networks, and so on, arise due to causes and conditions. So I can appear in this realm as a nurse, as a woman, but truly I am Padmasambhava. I am the inseparability of the three kayas, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. So this is the very nature of the Nirmanakaya, that it shows whatever form is necessary in order to benefit beings. So we have the Buddhas of the six realms. And the Buddha who goes into the hot hell takes cooling water. And the Buddha going into the cold hells takes blankets. So in each of these six realms, the Buddha manifests a form which is fitting to the condition of the beings who are there. These forms are called forth by the situation. Just as when this Irish nurse was young, maybe she had a relative who was a nurse, or her mother got sick and she saw her mother being taken care of, and the thought arises, I will be a nurse. I want to help beings. You can be a nurse and Padmasambhava. There is no contradiction. So we have the 8 familiar main forms or names of Padmasambhava, but he has many, many more. So all the different ways in which you are anxious or sad or lazy or driven or self-attacking, each of these patterns is a pattern of Padmasambhava. I find myself being Padmasambhava in this particular way, and this connects me with some people and not with others. It is because of the unique specificity of the manifestation of our karmic patterning that we arise with liking loud music or liking quiet music or hating all music. And therefore our profile, the topology of how I manifest, needs to be met by a particular form of Padmasambhava. So if I am the Nirmanakaya, I am for the other. I'm attentive to how you are. And especially, how might I meet you? How can I make contact with you? How can I strengthen our connectivity, our all-inclusive connectivity? We are within the Dharma Dhatu. We are within the palace of Padmasambhava. And there is nothing that I have ever done or that you have ever done that is so severe or so significant that it would place you outside of the mandala. Now, this is very important because being an aspect of Padmasambhava comes about from getting the initiation, getting the transmission. The potential is already there, but it's awakened through the ritual. It's not something which is made, it's not an artificial construct. But the ritual of the initiation or the empowerment allows you to develop a new vision of who you are. When I look for my mind, can I find my mind as having a shape or color? Is it big or small? Does it come from somewhere? Does it stay somewhere? Does it go anywhere? By looking at these 5 questions again and again, we can gain direct awakening to how we are. The practice is not based on learning a dogma and repeating it. Our experience ripens through our heartfelt participation. So how you are with your head, your hair, your eyes, your lips, this is Padma Sambhava. You don't have to pretend. So the texts say the mind of Padma Sambhava is the Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is unborn. You have thoughts and feelings and memories arising and arising and arising in your mind. But the mind itself doesn't arise. Just as the mirror doesn't show itself, but it shows reflections. So your mind doesn't show itself, but it shows its own radiance. So you're sitting in the practice and mind is relaxed and open. And then some subtle sensations arise, some memories and so on. They arise and gone, arise and gone. You can't catch them as something, and yet it's undeniable that you had the experience. Experience is not something you get. Experience is the immediacy of your participation. So, however you are, there is nothing wrong. There is no error. The error is to be unaware of how it is. When you're unaware of the open, empty ground, then you imagine entities. And when you imagine yourself to be an entity, it's very easy to have strong definitions of as to who you are. Oh, I've never been good at learning languages. I can't learn languages. If you know one thing about me, it's that I don't learn other languages easily. Now, of course, in this situation, you're telling yourself who you are. Just as a small child might do a kind of outline drawing of a house and then shade it all in, you're shading yourself in by the strong definition, I can't learn languages, I don't like riding bicycles, and so on. No matter what you say about yourself, it doesn't produce a true enduring essence of you. So in the process of the practice, we make offerings, we offer food up to the deities, we consume the assembled food, the tsok, together. These are all patterns of connectivity. You believe that the Buddha sends a blessing into the food, then you eat the food. So that's how the blessing comes into me. Or it might come through rays of light shining out from Om Ahung in the Padmasambhava's body. So we see again and again, the central point is the same. I do not see directly to my own unborn essence. And because of this, I imagine who I am, because there's nothing there. When I look for the essence of me, I don't find anything. But if I haven't studied the teachings where it says the mind is like the sky, open and empty, then when sorry, on you go. Then when I see that there is no enduring substance to me, it's as if I'm nothing at all. And in that way, I go up and down the polarity of existence. I really exist. This is who I am. I'll tell you about me. Or I don't exist. My life is nothing. When I die, that's it. It's all finished. So we are the students of the middle way. We go between all extremes. We find the center point which doesn't lean to any binary opposition. Although when I look for my mind, I can't find anything, and therefore it's as if I'm nothing, nothing at all, and yet experience is continuously arising. So in Tantra, we are doing many different imaginings and visualizations and making noises and mudras and so on, all of which are about experiencing ourselves as a participative energy, which is already part of the field, rather than being an isolated entity. Then, from the point of view of Dzogchen, we have the unborn, unchanging integrity of the field. The field just means the arena of occurrence. That is to say, whatever is arising for us. The mind is open and empty, and yet it's also full. Whatever fills the space of the mind is not other than the emptiness of the mind. And this transient content, which arises and passes, isn't fixed. So we have many different experiences. They are neither entirely the same, nor are they entirely different. Because the integrity of the field means everything is always already connected. I am co-emergent with the field. I live in the field, arising with whatever else is arising in the field. I am a field phenomena. The emptiness of the field, the Dharmakaya, is my true mother. And with this, I can manifest in different ways. I'm not manifesting out of me as if I had my own ground or basis inside me. I'm arising within the field as an aspiration, as an aspect of the field. So, this evening in London, the sky is quite blue, the sun is shining, but it's not so warm. So, when we finish, I'll go up to the shops because I need to buy some things. So, what I buy in the shops will be dependent on if the shops are very busy or not. If it's too busy, I just buy one thing and go home. But if they're not too busy, I'll look around and buy something fitting to my health at the moment. Now, I could make a plan according to all the good advice that so many people have given me since they found out that I have cancer. You must eat more broccoli. You must eat cauliflower and so on. Eat these things because they are good for you. Now, is that a fact? Or is that what you say because you believe it? So thank you for sharing your very kind belief with me. But I'm quite able to have my own beliefs, such as the curative power of chocolate. Yeah, that seems much more spontaneous and intuitive. That is to say, if you are going to live in the moment, the world will speak to you and you will make choices in the world. That is our embedded life. We are in the field. But if I get a list of the recommended food for people with cancer, then I get in my helicopter and fly up into the sky of healing. this arena where I find the truth, but I am in a body, an old body, a body with a lot of history. And so this body responds to different vegetables and fruits and so on. This is to say, don't start with the concept that you believe about what you need or someone else has told you about what you need. Stay present with the field of participation and respond according to what occurs. Because if we don't trust the immediacy of our own experience, then we will have to go back to development of concepts and cognitive checking and checking and checking. Don't put in the full stop. The flow of experience keeps coming. So the middle way means not too tight, not too loose. So if you find that your mental world is tightening up, then you loosen it. And if it's getting loose and all over the place, you tighten it up. It's about a participative field of belonging. I'm on the inside. This is an inclusive vision. I'm already included. So stay with the ever fresh life of your senses and appreciate the many flavors of the world, the many colors, the many scents, the many sensations. And when we do this, we will find that our life takes on many rich patterns. Because if we are in the context with other beings, then this wider field of being together is self-balancing. So we're coming to the end of our time today. These topics today are quite dense, quite solid. So we can see that we have a need to keep massaging them into ourselves. It's not about getting the right answer or getting the right way to do something, but rather remaining part of the whole. The whole has these three aspects: unborn Dharmakaya openness, revealing the ever flickering Sambhogakaya luminosity. This is the realm of experience, but no entities. And then from within this Sambhogakaya, we manifest with these apparitional forms, changing according to the varying factors of our life. So again and again, we need to gently shift ourselves from product evaluation. How did I do? Am I making any progress? So letting go of this kind of objectification, we stay as the subject, experiencing all the nuances of flavor and touch and so on, with no conclusion. The Buddha is not a product. It's not generated by a developmental process. Buddha is the unfragmented presence of these three kaya aspects. And this is a process. This is a flow. This does not end. We're not trying to get somewhere, because our connectivity means that there are always movements, gestures of closeness and distance. It's a pulsating field. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. Don't worry. But if you're very happy when your meditation goes well and you're crying when it doesn't, then all you're doing is turning yourself into a thing. So we want to appreciate our effulgence, our radiance out into the field of radiance, and stay with this however it is. So we have one more Saturday before the summer break, and we've got at least one Q&A, I think. So, pleasure to be with you all. Thank you for your work, Pedro, in making it, all the technical things flow well. And thank you to our translators. What we're looking at is not easy, it's not simple, but this is how it is. So what to do? Life goes on. So hopefully we meet again, and that some of you I will meet face to face this year in my travels. So bye for now. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, bye, bye.
James, bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, James. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Very good.
Obrigada. To everyone.
Ciao a tutti.
Out of the void, into the void.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye, James. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye bye.